Hey Mike here, and today I'm giving you the performance review on the Crazylight Boost 2018. So let's get started. So I'm going to start off with, like I always do, the most important aspect of it for me, and that's the traction. Now the traction right here is actually pretty durable, pretty hard. They say it's a non-marking runner's outsole, and it's meant for durability. And as I'm about to show right now, as you can see, there's not really any signs of any wear or it peeling. So, if you're mainly an outdoor player, you should be totally fine using this outdoors and it lasting you. Now, in regards to whether dust is going to affect it or not, so once dust is present, it will kind of pick it up, but the thing is, you don't have to really worry about it. Just because the dust is on there, it doesn't mean it's going to affect the traction at all. If anything, on highly dusty courts, this actually worked pretty well. Probably you would only have to wipe, I want to say on the highly dusty courts, every 20 minutes. So yeah, the traction is that good. And combining that with it being durable, you can't really go wrong here. Now onto its upper. Its upper is the synthetics like material, broken pretty quickly. Only took me about 6 hours to break it in all the way. It morphed well with my foot. Just the issue I had in the beginning was the breaking in process, because you need to make sure you do break it in, or else you won't be able to tie it the way you want it to. Because if you don't, you honestly, don't even look at this portion right here. You only get, if you put it all the way to the top, you only get this much lace or even less to work with. So, you only get that much lace to work with, which kind of makes it difficult to keep your foot in the shoe, which it still does, but you still get that movement, which is what I was speaking about in my initial thoughts. When I thought it was a sizing issue, it was actually because I was actually experiencing heel slippage in the shoe. Since I was going with materials, its ventilation is perfectly fine. It's like every other shoe. It will get pretty warm in here, like every other basketball shoe, so nothing groundbreaking there. It seems to be able to take the damage if you're going to use this outdoors for it, so you don't really have to worry about there being holes when you're playing it a month in. I always dive outside, which I should really stop doing, and no signs of wear yet. The material is perfectly fine. I have no complaints. It felt really good on my foot. So now for its support, lockdown. Once you fully break in the shoe, you are stuck in here. You're not going to experience any movement along the footbed anymore. You do have to break the inside also right here, because if you don't, like I said, you're going to experience some sliding. But luckily the heel counter here, it's kind of shown here, but it's actually right here, does a really good job of keeping your foot inside the shoe. So even though you feel heel slippage, your heel is still in there, if that makes any sense. And for these lace zips here, they do their job to keep your midfoot secure in the footbed. You never feel any movement there once it's broken in. And this outrigger here does do a pretty good job. Now, and also you have a torsional plate right here on the bottom. I honestly wish I could further explain what this does. I think it's it allows for more separate movement. It allows for more separate movement here, which I felt totally comfortable in. I didn't really feel like a speed plate found like the Jordan 29s, but I didn't feel as if my foot was restricted in movement independently from the forefoot to the, I guess, the rear foot. So yeah, you have to make sure you really break down the shoe. Not only this, but like I said, the inside, but I think also the cushion, because I felt like I was sitting way too high in the shoe. Like I was already getting out. Like I said, I couldn't really tie it all the way until the materials broke in, and the inside, because once I finally broke this in, I felt like I finally sunk in there, and I was able to get that real nice secure fit, kind of a one-to-one fit. So if you want to eliminate that whole process beforehand, before you play ball, just make sure that you play or you like walk in it beforehand, maybe like at least 3 hours. That way you're a little bit settled in, because it is going to take a while before you can actually tie it the way you want it to, so you're not like out of the shoe. And now onto its cushioning. As you see here, it's full length boost all around the shoe, kind of encased right here. And this setup, I feel like if you played in the Hardens, it's a pretty similar setup here. I'm actually really used to playing in the D Rose line, and I really like the way they implement boost in there, more so than I do here. Doesn't mean that this setup is bad. You know, if it's what you need, it's what, you know, what suits you. It just didn't really suit me. But anyways, let me just go into describing it. So it starts up pretty stiff in the beginning. It has some give, but around like the 7-hour mark is when you really start feeling how it kind of, what, you know, everybody tells you what boost should feel like. It gets kind of squishy, has some give to it. But since it's so, I want to say since it's so tightly packed or so thick, especially since it's caged here in the forefoot, what it does is kind of imitate court feel, but still giving you cushion. So, you know, you don't feel as slowed down in these as you would if you were playing in the D Rose 7. And I think that's what they were going for, because if you read the description, it says they wanted, it's for a more responsive ride. And you totally get that with this, because you feel the boost a lot quicker. Even though it is a bit more, I guess, firm. And like I said, even though you do get some give to it, it's not as much as you would in other ones. It's not going to really be a plush ride or like a bouncy squishy ride, because you do get that still. But for me, once I ended up putting some power in here, or you know, once I would get rebounds, drive in, it just felt really like it would really firm up in this area. And again, I think that's because of how much boost there is. But it was never to the point where my feet ever got tired. So my feet every day when I would play in this were totally fine. The only problem I had was that my knees and my legs would feel tired. And I think that's because how much cushion there is in there. So if you're someone who likes a lot of cushion, I think you're going to be totally fine in the shoe. But you know, if you don't like a lot of cushion, you feel like it slows you down, it might tire you out, and eventually it does start hurting your knees. You might want to stay away from the shoe, because yeah, the next day my knees would start hurting because I wasn't really sinking in as much as I think I would be. It wasn't as plush as I thought it would be. But you know, like I said, you get the court feel with the cushion, and it could just be that it was just too much cushion for me. Size, is it true to size? True to your Adidas size. At first I thought it was a bit too long, but I didn't realize that it was a heel slippage. So yeah, right now I fit like right near the edge, which is how I like my shoes to feel. So lengthwise, you know, just go true to size, but it is narrow. I'm just gonna let you know that I have a narrow foot, so I'm lucky. Because in the beginning, even it felt pretty tight, but once it broke in, it felt totally fine. But just know if you're a wide footer, you may want to check these indoors, because even when putting on the shoe here, it's pretty narrow here. So yeah, just be on the lookout for that. But again, you know, always to figure out what the size is. Everybody's foot is different, so just always try these in stores first, because I could only tell you what I experienced with the sizing. My final thoughts are, this shoe is actually a really good performer. You know, the most important aspects for me, the traction works really well. It's going to last you. All surfaces, totally fine. And the cushion, even though it didn't suit me, I could totally see somebody finding use for it and really loving it, especially with, you know, some people feeling really slowed down with boost, and now they kind of get the best of both worlds with getting the cushion and the court feel because how tight or how thick the boost is. So I would totally recommend it to somebody. Just I would tell them to break it in first before they play basketball because it's pretty difficult to play in it before it's broken in. So yeah. So that's it. That's my review, my thoughts. Your experiences, share them below. Anything I might have missed, anything you want further clarification, just comment down below and I'll do my best. So yeah, that's it.